Hello, this is Sharon Pierce for Near Desert Experience, April 13th, 2025. It's approximately 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, and I have a little kitty named Luna laying behind me. It's neither here nor there as far as water is concerned. I'm going to see if I can bring this one up very quickly and share with you some news. Okay, so Southern California water. No, it's been a drought this year so far. Down in the Mojave area, it's been, March did produce over an inch of rain. January, February was like 0.8 of an inch each month. And so far in April, it's been about a 20th of an inch. We're in a drought season, and that's the way it went this year. It's very dry. Farther north in California and in the San Fernando Valley, and even down along the Colorado River in Congressional District 25, there has been some water that came in, drained in, or the rainfall. We have a lot of water up north, and it even encompassed Central California, but not down here. But what's going on about this time is I'm reviewing some things about weather and climate monitoring through the National Park Service. Evidently, a number of things are happening. There's a pipeline they're still talking about working on it from Ridgecrest to California City. Over west of Victorville, an Australian mining company that has the rights to a mine that it bought in 1985 is illegally mining again through the auspices of the Trump administration, though now that auspices under which they bought the mine doesn't work anymore because we have created, that was in 1985, and about 1997 we created the California Desert Impact Agreement, which the National Park Service now has oversight and control of that land, and there's no mining allowed. So they're mining illegally. They've been informed of it. They're continuing to mine illegally, and that's an issue. And that's an Australian company. It's called Coliseum or something of that nature. Here are some pictures of the Mojave. This is Joshua Tree, a semi-arid desert, and the Park Service monitors weather and climate. Many studies of future climate conditions predict higher temps and less precipitation, contrary to what I believe. But in the Mojave Desert Network parks, decreased precipitation intensifies the scarcity of water resources, and that affects much of life, plant life, animal life, and so forth. Predicted warmer overall temperatures in the spring would cause earlier melting of higher elevation snowpack, resulting in greater flooding over shorter periods in the spring and less meltwater runoff at the end of summer. So I may or may not be able to get into Mojave National Preserve here, but that's part of what it looks like. Kelso Dunes in the background, and they're working on also repaving and improving a highway that runs for about 42 miles through that. The Mojave National Preserve was established in 1994 as part of the California Desert Protection Act. 1.6 million acres, third largest unit of the national park system in the contiguous United States. This is one of the top three. And it is bordered to the north and south by major interstate highways, I-15 and I-40. is an expanse of desert lands from 3 of the 4 major North American deserts: the Great Basin, the Sonoran, and the Mojave. It has vast natural and cultural resources that warrant monitoring and protection. So we have to, there's an inventories have been completed for mammals, fish, birds, vascular plants, reptiles, amphibians. And it's all at the website. Our selected large springs monitoring focuses on, excuse me, an iconic water source under the endangered Mojave tui chub that inhabits it. The network also published a report on the use of historic photographs to reconstruct the water level at MC Spring from 1990 to 2015. Okay, so that is what that shows us. And now we're going to see if we can get to, again, let's see what we have out here at Death Valley. And that's a famous road. Super bloom of wildflowers. So the monitoring there, Desert Springs. This is an overview. Network staff monitor about 240 springs in the parks by visiting a statistically selected sample, approximately 120, each year. During these site visits, they measure water quality, water quantity, riparian vegetation, and site disturbance. Sensors are also deployed in a small number of springs to monitor the timing of wet and dry periods. Worth protecting. Desert Springs in Joshua Tree. How to preserve and protect a desert spring. So this is about a 6-minute video, which you can find at National Park Service Mojave. And this is another video that they put out there, which I won't go into it, but what we monitored bats, aspens, streams and lakes, desert springs, selected large springs, integrated upland spring vegetation, invasive and exotic plants, weather and climate, and white pine. Just curious as to see, we did go to weather and climate. How about spring vegetation? So this is what you can see if you're out there in the spring. It's not completely gray or beige. In these parks, as elsewhere in the arid West, land use practices such as livestock grazing, surface water diversion, groundwater withdrawal, mining, and introduced invasive species have radically altered ecological balances and led to losses in productivity and biodiversity. In many riparian areas, plant communities are now dominated by non-native tamarisk, a woody plant that accesses groundwater more easily and tolerates saline soils better than native plant species. And a significant number of species are of special concern in the habitat in Mojave Desert, including the southwestern willow flycatcher, least Bell's vireo, and the relict leopard frog. So this is all monitored and cared for by the National Park Service. And if you go to their websites, you can find a lot of information. There's another picture of a pool out in the desert, natural pool. So that's going to be the end of this for the time being, but it's somewhat beautiful to see. This is a rainbow. Here's the rainbow near the west entrance of Joshua Tree National Monument. And it's a great time to be aware of Mojave and think about if and when the moisture and rainfall increases the water resources west of Lancaster, Palmdale, out near Ridgecrest, and going towards Barstow and Baker, before they once again take all that water away to send to Los Angeles. Follow the water boards and the water planning commissions, see what they're doing, how they're going to keep the water in place for locals who live there, and consider if you yourself lived in these areas, in the residential sections, and there are some, how you can capture some of that water for yourself. If it falls in your backyard, why isn't it yours? There's a lot that can be done. It can be filtered. A lot of things can be done by the individual homemaker. I believe we're coming into a time where self-management, self-monitoring, self-preservation, self-conservation, self-development of assets, and so forth will be what the new world order will include in a very dominating way. So it's time to close off what we're sharing here. Let's close that off. Close that off. And now stop sharing. And that's really all I want to say on this. But it's interesting what is going on in the Mojave right now. It's the beginning of spring, 2025. And remember, we're going forward. There's no going backward. Thank you for listening.